Swerve, and we ain't talking Strickland. Plot twist. Better than your favorite movie. It was a bait and switch, but it was so well done. The New Day 10-year anniversary celebration ends with the breakup of the New Day. All this talk, is it gonna be Xavier turning? Will it be Kofi turning? What if I told you it was both dudes? Both turned, staring at the hard cam with an entire arena, booing them. What if I told you Big E got Das Boot? So well done. Oh, we're gonna talk about it in today's Raw review on the Amped Up Show, December the 3rd, 2024. We're also gonna talk Gunther. Hunter Hearst Helmsley's booking has finally bit him in the ass. And what he was going for with his world champion absolutely backfired. Hunter's ridiculous, embarrassing booking of Gunther put him in a position last night that dude should have never been in. As if booking Gunther with other heels and matchups like Bronson Reed wasn't bad enough. And the outcome of that match, Hunter should have learned that lesson. But if that wasn't bad enough, he has Gunther parading around, shaking all of the top babyfaces' hands. Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes, he'll shake John Cena's hand when they go to Netflix. And if all that wasn't bad enough, what if I told you his feud for the end of the year, the rest of the year, his big feud is going to be with the heel faction Judgment Day. Last night, already squaring off with heel Dominik Mysterio. At Saturday night's main event, he will be taking on heel Finn Balor. So Hunter trying to make us look at Gunther like he's trying to get us to look at Braun Breaker. They're tweeners. They're not diabolical heels, but they're not quite faces. They're tweeners. Just give them a reaction, please. No, Hunter, that's not how it works. And last night, that crowd reaction, if that didn't tell Hunter Hearst Helmsley what he is doing is completely the opposite of what should be done, then I don't know what is going to get through to that dude. Because that was so bad that after Gunther got beaten down by the Judgment Day, by Balor, Gunther was laughing with the referee at what the crowd was chanting. And I don't even blame him. How can you do anything at that point but laugh at how Hunter is booking his world champion? And don't forget, we don't know if he's got full confidence anymore. Confidence, that's right. Gunther with confidence issues and not knowing if he's a face or a heel, and an entire crowd turning on him when he is supposed to be more of the face. Guys, that's all I'm going to give you in the teaser. If you think that's a lot that I got to say about it, wait till we get to that portion of the Raw review, because I got a lot more to say about it. And it's one of those things where it's sad that reaction was given to Gunther in the position that he was placed in. But on the other hand, it's a wake-up call. So we should look at this as a good thing that Hunter Hearst Helmsley got that smack upside the dome piece last night. We'll talk all about it. We'll talk the Women's IC Championship Tournament. A really big W for the lady that won that match. For one of the two ladies that lost that match, I have to ask the question, why is she even on the roster? Is this just for a paycheck? Because I don't see any more value. And that's sad because I always did. But it's clear the company doesn't. So what is she doing on the roster? We'll talk all about what I am talking about. And if you guys saw that match, you know what I'm talking about. We'll talk R-Truth and Pete Dunne. If you guys were wondering why we were getting 6 weeks of this story that nobody really cared about, but you said, okay, well let's just see where it goes, right? Maybe it's going to end with a really good finish. Well, they had the match last night. You're not going to believe what Hunter Hearst Helmsley did with these two. But it happened, and you shouldn't be shocked. We're also going to talk Mac. Mac is back, and he finishes the show. It's not the most epic of returns. It feels like he's just revisiting the mid-card, right? He gets involved with a Seth Rollins, Sami Zayn main event. Face versus face main event, by the way, because Hunter. But Mac comes back and just takes out. So it's like, whoa, boy, is he coming back just to play around in this mid-card? But I will tell you why this absolutely makes sense. And if done correctly, it could grow into something exceptional. Could. Big asterisk. There's a lot to talk about, man. It was Raw December 2, 2024. This is the Amped Up show for December 3, 2024. Big swig of coffee. I'm not even taking you guys to the opening signature. I'm just going to get a swig of coffee. We're going to start this up because there's not a lot of time to do this. I got a lot of business to attend to. You guys might hear ESPN on in the background. All apologies. I'm kind of multitasking as I'm delivering this podcast to you guys. I also have to check a lot of scores out. For side business. I'll just leave it at that. So ESPN, you might hear that in the background. Swig of coffee, we're going to talk all things Raw. There's a lot to talk about. And we're going to start with CM Punk beginning this show. Oh, that's a good Dunkin' Extra Extra. No barista. Nah, that was BC that made that one from the Amplified Monster 5000 coffee machine. Shout out, by the way, to Prime Killer, I believe it was, correct? He was our eyes and ears in Canada for the Survivor Series, actually in that arena, giving us a firsthand perspective of what was going on in the arena, all the chants, all that good stuff. So I appreciate that, and the super thanks, super chat in yesterday's upload. So big shout out to Prime Killer and big shout out to Rob Reverne, by the way. Rob, I gave you that shout out yesterday for an earlier super thanks, but I never gave you the props on screen, man. So where are my manners? Absolutely not. We do that respect the right way. You're going to chuck coffees at the channel. I got to give you that proper respect. So Rob, Prime Killer, appreciate it very much. Don't forget channel members. Start that membership. You get that gold card. Then you go into the diamond card. And then, of course, you go golden coffee, which my 2 years are about to get in about a week, I believe. So pretty cool. Channel membership. Do all the things. Smash all the buttons down below. Smash that up for sure. Help out that algorithm. You got to flex on that like button, man. You got to smash it. Give it the figure 4 leg lock. Make that like button tap out. Let's get into this. Raw. 12/2/24. CM Punk starts this show. He says his sights are set on WrestleMania. Sethington Rollins, of course, we know Seth's character, right? He's never involved in anything, but he's always involved in everything. What do we mean? He's never really the first choice for anything. Hunter never has him in any real plans, so then he just gets added to all this weird stuff, right? So he was added to WrestleMania when it was really about Roman and Rock and somehow Cody. But because Seth had the championship title and they had nothing for him, Punk got injured, we'll just add you into this weird thing with Rock, Roman, and Cody. We'll make this weird tag match for Mania. Then Seth is talked about as the fifth man for Team Roman, and that was the original plan, by the way. If anybody is wondering, it was absolutely Seth. That's why Bronson went over, and they were just going to culminate that with Seth, but then they got the backlash pretty quickly. Fans were like, dude, we don't even mind Seth, but no, that's not... come on, man. It's bad enough you got Bronson over there, but at least that fits. Seth doesn't fit with this bloodline. Seth has so much animosity with it just wouldn't fit. So, but he's always added into this weird stuff. He's always like the third wheel. He's always forgotten about. That's sad, but it's just the case. So, of course, when Punk says, I'm moving on to WrestleMania, Seth is like, no, you can't move on. I want to be added to your plans. So Seth comes out and he's telling Punk, it was hilarious. He's like, I have been thinking about just knocking you out, whatever, I don't know. I'm thinking about like just our match all the time or something like that. And CM Punk was hilarious. He goes, you think about me all the time. I never think about you. It was so good. It really, poor Seth's face was like, damn it, I never thought of it like that, right? Like I probably shouldn't be thinking about another dude that much. So CM Punk is like, maybe pick out a woman, a nice beautiful lady, and maybe think about that more, right? You got a beautiful wife, you got Becky Lynch, Abadas, the man. So think about Becky Lynch a little bit more than you think about me, is what CM Punk, right? CM Punk, he put so much into perspective. The whole crowd was like, oh, dude, you can't get up from that burn. You can't. You just told Punk you're always thinking about. Like, that's weird. It's weird. That was really good. So then the words turned to fists because Seth knew. I mean, like, you don't get up from that burn. So Seth had to try to throw a fist down. I think he actually knocked Punk on his ass, no? Something like this. Oh, I forgot what happened. Yeah, I think he did. And then all of a sudden they went to blows. I think that's what happened. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso would come out to try to break him up. But Seth kind of flipped out on Jey Uso. So this led to Punk ended up being taken to the back. Jey Uso was taken to the back. I think Jey may have like backed up Punk to the back. So this left Sami Zayn and Jey Uso middle of the ring. Oh, no, I'm sorry. My bad. Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins left middle of the ring. And they began to have a back and forth promo. And all this really did was just set up a match between the two for later in the night, the main event. So Hunter Hearst Helmsley wants your main event to be a face versus a face, so the audience will be split. The audience will be split. Good crowd, too, last night, no matter what. Even if there was some really odd booking, but there always is with Hunter. But there was some good segments as well. But whether it was good segment, bad segment, or anywhere in between indifferent, the crowd was at least trying to make the fun out of it, right? Trying to get the most out of it. The most bang for their buck, because they're paying a lot of money these days to show up. So I got to give that crowd a lot of props. Even when it was really bad television, really bad segments, they were trying to make the most out of it. But all this is doing booking-wise is splitting your audience, face versus face. There's no reason for this. The promo itself, they were just talking about how Sami Zayn says, you know, you don't like the monster that Roman became, but you helped create that monster when you put the chair to the back 10 years ago. So Seth was like, dude, you did the exact same thing to Roman. It wasn't them turning on you. You did that to Roman. So you're saying with me, you're just reflecting, bro. And again, this led to the match later. We'll talk about that when we go over the main event. But that was the whole first 24 minutes of this show. CM Punk just gets taken to the back by Jey Uso, and it becomes about Sami and Seth. It's very odd how they're doing Seth and CM Punk. At one point, this was straight fire, and it's almost like they could do no wrong. We understand you got to sit on it for a while and revisit it, but the way they're always kind of interacting every now and again, but it gets put on the shelf, and then they come across each other, put on the shelf. You got to be careful. This is starting to feel like it's cooling down, and if you're trying to get like to a Mania match or any big match, which we need to have happen, you can't have it totally cooled down. You got to find a way to do this, and you're heating it up as we go along. I can't say that this did that, because 2 minutes after you just saw Punk and Rollins, it really became about Sami and Rollins. It makes no... And by the end of the night, Mac is back, so people are thinking Punk Mac and not Rollins Punk. Hope you guys are keeping track. There's a lot of things that are muddying the waters right now and blurring the lines. But that's what Hunter does. Because he can't make definitive decisions, or he's just really bad at it. So we get a whole bunch of cluster... Swig of coffee, we'll go into the first matchup of the night. This was Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan versus the Sky Pirates. Io Sky, Kairi Sane of Damage Control. So Raquel and Liv would defeat the Sky Pirates of Damage Control via pinfall. Raquel pins Kairi Sane via Tahani Bomb. Less than 5 minutes. Great for Liv and Raquel. They needed a bounce back. I totally understand that from their loss at Survivor Series. I've said for months and months and months and months and months that the booking of Damage Control, whether faces or heels or what variation or who's injured and who's back, Damage Control is absolutely misbooked in WWE. They're misused for sure. Io has her peaks as a singles standout. As a group, I don't know what really Damage Control is anymore. And their loss after loss after loss in the most mediocre of fashions just continues to dig that hole deeper and deeper. And then you do something weird, like when they lose, you have somebody like Dakota Kai pick up one of her biggest victories. So why, why can you have a night where Damage Control is just kind of like, man, what a night we're having as a group? Or are you a group? Are these just Sky Pirates and Dakota's just doing her thing now? Maybe that's best for everybody. It's sad to say. Bayley started all of this and she's no longer in that group. And I can't say the group got any better when she left. It absolutely got worse. So it was just weird. Less than 5 minutes, just seeing Kairi and Io, two amazing wrestlers, just lose in that amount of time. And just watch Kairi take such a simplistic L. Post-match, Rhea Ripley to the ring. This is your brutality. And she gets thrown face first into the corner of the commentary table. Thanks for coming, Rhea Ripley. That's one of those things you go to the back and you're like, damn, that was embarrassing. I probably should have never came to the ring. She tried to make the save. She got her face thrown into the commentary table, into the edging of it, right into that broken nose. So great, we're going to have the damn Trish Stratus mask on for another 3 months. Or at Survivor Series, she had the Luchasaurus mask, right? Mrs. Saurus. So Rhea gets thrown into the commentary table. Liv and Raquel stand strong. Big W over, I guess it is a big W, man. It's Io and Kairi. W over them, and then they took care of Rhea Ripley. Now, I'm going to give you guys a hot take here. And I don't know if hot take are the best words. It's my preference. It's my likes and non-likes, what I'm into. But it may not go in line with what you're used to hearing. But when it comes to Rhea Ripley, and this is the utmost respect, I'm glad she's getting the push that she is. I totally understand it, especially with what happened with the Judgment Day and her presence in it. I know she's got an awesome fan base, so much love and respect to Rhea Ripley. I hope she continues to absolutely just rock it. But preference-wise for BC, honest take, Rhea Ripley's not my cup of coffee. She's just not my cup of coffee, guys. I'm not on the... I feel like I have to be on this Rhea Ripley bandwagon. I don't feel any emotion when she comes through that curtain. I don't. When I hear, this is my brutality, I don't really go, it's Rhea. Guys, sit down. What are you doing? It's Rhea. I'm not a big Rhea supporter, but I support the trajectory. I love the fact that they got behind somebody. It's better booking than most get, so at least I'm proud of that. But I can't say, it's not like when Tiffy Time comes through the curtain and I'm like, if I had the creative pen, all the things I could do with Tiffany Stratton, or even better, and this one might shock you. This might be a hot take. But if I have the creative pen and I have Chelsea Green in my company, Chelsea Green is more my cup of coffee. BC Rhea is so much better than Chelsea. Listen, I understand. I understand the boxes that Rhea checks off. But I also see Chelsea checking off other boxes for fans like BC. But again, much love and respect, and I have no problem when they book Rhea in these segments. I just ask that you put your best foot forward, man. Give us the most entertaining segments you possibly can with Rhea. Otherwise, when I hear, this is my brutality, and she comes running down and she gets her face thrown into the edge of a commentary table, and that's the segment, fans like BC are just going to go, all right, no. Rhea got beat up again. Rhea will be injured again. It's a lot of it's not even just WWE's fault not putting her in the best segments. They're pushing her, just not the best of ways, but it's also just injuries and time off that Rhea needed. So there's a lot of stop, go with Rhea Ripley. That doesn't help. I don't know. Maybe in the future she'll be my cup of coffee. Maybe she'll become a latte to BC, right? She'll become my latte, which is even better than my cup of coffee. But for now, Rhea doesn't do too much. So Raquel versus Rhea, okay. Bigger woman versus bigger woman. Let them collide. Hopefully it's good. Told you it was a hot take. Again, much love and respect. It's just, But what am I... Listen, this is coming from a dude that likes Jinder Mahal when I know most of the wrestling world does not. So, we all have our likes and what we don't like. We can all respect one another's preferences. triple threat. Let's stick with the women. What do you guys say? Because that was next anyway, so we're going to have to. Triple threat women's IC title tournament match. Dakota Kai versus Katana Chance versus Shayna Baszler. This was a huge win for Dakota Kai. Dakota Kai Season 6. This is the final season of Dakota Kai, by the way. Oh, no, wait, that's something else. Cobra. That's Cobra Kai. No. So Dakota is going to continue on. This is not her final season. Dakota Kai, big W here. This was like the starting point, I feel, right? If Dakota Kai can stay healthy, she can be very special and a very big presence on this roster. I absolutely have no reservations making that statement. I do not hold back that statement whatsoever. If she can remain healthy, Dakota Kai is really good. I know most of the audience has not seen that yet. They don't know that yet, especially if they haven't seen any NXT from back in the day. But she is that good. I think, years have gone by. Injuries have added up. Mileage has added up. Maybe she's not as good as she once was. Like Tegan Nox, she banged up both her knees back to back year by year. And when she came back, Tegan Nox lost about 85 steps. Tegan Nox was going backwards in terms of speed. That was so sad because Tegan Nox was really good. And eventually Tegan Nox was booted from the company. So I think Dakota can still go. Last night was that beginning point, That's not even the best, right? That's Dakota trying to find her footing again. This was a massive W for Dakota Kai, the starting point. If they're going to do something special with Dakota, that was the match we're going to remember. That's the match where we're going to go. It all started with that triple threat victory. There was a point how this was set up to the victory. Chance hit a 450 splash. In real time, I thought it was a 950 splash because I thought there was another spin or two in there, right? Another couple 2-tree spinneroonies. It looked like it was beautifully hit. Upon replay, it was just a 450. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call it a 950. That's how beautiful it was. And it was going to be on both Chance and Baszler because Baszler had the submission on Chance. And then the 450 was hit. But last second, Dakota saw it, so Dakota was able to kick out or something, get out of that submission. And the 450 hit Shayna Baszler. So then, with Baszler already out from the 450, Dakota gets up and hits her modified GTS on Chance. And that was the victory. Hopefully that makes sense. Modified GTS is what I call it. I know she has a name for it. Maybe you guys know. If you do, go ahead and drop it. I just call it a modified GTS. It's the same setup. It's the same motion. It's the same maneuver. It's just Dakota falls onto her back and her opponent just runs into the same knee that you would hit in the GTS, but it's Dakota on her back on the canvas. That's when the face would hit the knee. So you can call it whatever you want to call it. It's a modified GTS. But she does have a name for it. I don't have it in the notes. My bad. But that's how the victory, it was over Chance. So Dakota Kai, to wrap up this part of this review, Dakota Kai, if she can remain healthy, remain injury-free, she has a special place on this roster and is going to be a very pivotal part of this roster. On the flip side, Chance continues to impress. Chance continues to excel. And I knew her and Kaden Carter were good as a tag team. They just kept getting better and better. But watching little Chance in there, fending for herself, dude, she was handling her business. So Dakota can be something special. Chance continues to impress. Baszler continues to suck. What? What do you want me to say? You guys know damn well that's the truth. It's unfortunate, but that's the truth. Shayna Baszler, it seems like she has not improved in the last 5 years. That she has not improved at all, and I don't even blame her. I don't even think it doesn't even look like she has the desire to excel and improve, and I don't blame her because look how Vince McMahon booked her. Look how Hunter Hearst Helmsley continues to book her. Like, my question is, what is Baszler doing on the roster then? Is it just for a payday? Because she can't be happy with this booking. There's no way she can be here for that many years. No, that in actuality, in reality, Shayna could probably take most of that roster. And Shayna is just taking L after L after L, year after year after year. Doesn't matter if it's a VKM, an HHH, or whichever letter combination you want to put together. Doesn't matter the promoter. That's how the company is looking at Shayna. Has the hole been dug so deep that she can't even get out of it? That's the problem. So what's she doing on the roster? Of course, you never want to see anybody lose their job, but at this point, would it be more beneficial for Shayna just to get out? That's why I ask, is this just a paycheck now? Because Shayna cannot be happy with this. WWE is getting no bang for their buck. There's no reason to have Shayna on your roster at this point. They have devalued her so much that if Shayna was not on TV for the next 4, 5, 6 months, up front, bare minimum, 4, 5, or 6 months, most fans are not going to go, where's Shayna at? That's sad. That's really sad. So I wonder what is going on with Shayna Baszler and Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Then we go into our number 2. This is the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, the celebration heard around the world. And it was all said and done celebrating this amazing trio. It would also be the moment they break up and the crowd turns on them. Or they turned on the... Well, let's talk about it. 10-year New Day anniversary celebration plot twist. Swerve without the Strickland. Xavier turns heel in this segment. Just as we thought. There was a lot of talk, will Kofi Kingston turn heel? Maybe it's not Xavier. Xavier turned heel. And simultaneously, Kofi Kingston also turned heel. You were all right. Whoever said Xavier, you were correct. If you said Kofi, you were correct. Xavier and Kofi are about to announce that they're going their separate ways. They thank everybody for 10 years of the New Day, but because of recent activity between themselves, they've decided to call it quits. So they're about to announce that. The return of Big E to WWE. Now, he's already been doing kickoff shows. He does a lot for World Wrestling Entertainment. He's got, as New Day called it, Kofi and Xavier, a desk job. But for all intents and purposes, on actual television for like a Raw SmackDown, this was his big return. Now, if you caught my preview in yesterday's upload, I did kind of spoil that. I told you guys you're most likely seeing Big E. That is what's on the their call sheet backstage. Sure enough, Big E returns. Big E gives a heartfelt speech about them staying together and really just, it's a personal, heartfelt speech just about what they did for him and always being there for him, how they always had one another during their darkest of times. And from this day forward, Big E says, he drops a bombshell. He is going to be the new manager of the Day of New. He is going to be Kofi and Xavier's manager going forward. Now, right there, Big C's like, damn, that's a plot twist. I didn't see that coming. Maybe this is going to work. I was like indifferent in that moment because I thought that was a segment. Xavier looked like he had something to say, but, they were going to hug it out and throw some fucking booty-os and pancakes and call it a day. But I was kind of conflicted. I was like, on one hand, all right, that's pretty cool, man. Big E is going to be with Xavier and Kofi in some capacity. And then I also thought, does that work long term? Like, with Hunter's booking, this could go off the train tracks by next week. So I was kind of like, damn, that's a weird way to go with this, but I'm going to give it a chance. I wouldn't have to. That's not where this segment was ending. That was just the setup for what was about to happen. Big E drops the bombshell saying that he's going to be their manager, and it gets a big pop. It gets a big pop from the arena, and the only two individuals in the entire arena, because everybody was loving that announcement, yeah, Big E, the new manager, the only two individuals that were not down with that decision was Xavier and Kofi. That's a problem. And Xavier and Kofi begin to rip apart, absolutely shred, to verbally annihilate, scathingly, word by word. They rip apart Big E. They begin to rip apart Big E, saying how he chooses now to help them. Xavier really, really laying into it. You really believe Xavier, the facial expressions, the mannerisms, everything is just connecting. And it worked because at first he was like smiling, you know, it's almost like the wheels are spinning, like, you gotta be kidding me. And everyone's chanting New Day, and Xavier, it looks like he's down with it. And then his whole demeanor just changes. And it's like, you got some balls. After everything we've just been through. And we're on the brink of eliminating just one another at this point. So we're going our separate ways. We're deciding to call it a quits because it's gotten so volatile, because we just can't work together. And you choose now to come back. You choose now to help us. They go on to rip him apart, saying he chose a new life over them. He chose this new desk job over them. He chose a new girlfriend over them. Just ripping apart, really just laying in with one personal hit after another. Scathing diss track is what it was on Big E. Big E emotional, almost shedding tears. It's just so well done. Ripping him apart to the point where, while Big E is pleading for them to change their mind, this is not the way that we end. This is not the way that this is going to go. Xavier says, you can get the hell out of our ring. Boots Big E. Big E tries pleading again, goes to give Kofi a hug. Don't let him do this to us. Kofi stops him. Says no. Xavier says again, get out of our ring. Big E reluctantly leaves the ring. Big E, Das, booted from the New Day. Crowd is booing as Xavier and Kofi stare at the hard cam. Before they even did that, really cool moment. They face off. They have a face off. And they each put up their hand and they just connect. While Xavier is like, or Kofi, both of them, just saying, now, I think it was Kofi, now it's just me and you. And Xavier's like, you and me. They connect. And in one segment where they were at their lowest to start, they, by the end of the segment, are at their strongest somehow. Goosebumps even thinking about it, right? It was just so well done. Now, if that was their creativity, a Paul Heyman, a P.S. Hayes, a Bruce Pritchard, maybe it was a Hunter Helmsley, whoever it was, everybody that it was, salute. What a really good segment. And they stare at the hard cam after they say, now it's just you and me. It's almost like they took out that part of the garbage, or at least that's how they felt. They got rid of what was really holding them down. It was like a therapy session, and they got rid of that, and now they can conduct business. They stare at the hard cam as the entire arena boos. We fade to black to commercial. Excellent. That's it. I actually just put that word after everything in my note. I just put excellent. What else do you need to know? Absolutely excellent storytelling. I love the little swerve. You know, you think, oh, no, they're not going to break up Big E. He's going to rejoin them. He's going, man, okay. Weird, but let's give it a shot. You wouldn't have to. They got rid of Big E. It looks like Big E is going to be doing this desk job for a while, so this is a way to totally write him off and to totally give the New Day something different. And I like this. Is Kofi going on his own? Is that the best move? Can Hunter really create for him properly? I mean, can you go higher than Kofi Mania? I don't know. Xavier Woods on his own. It's not that he can't handle it or he can't do it, but is Hunter really going to back that up pristinely as it should be? Or after a month or two, is it already old? Is it stale? Is Xavier getting absolutely nothing? Kofi and Xavier staying together, but absolutely kind of reinventing themselves with a segment like this. I'm just leaving what I put in my notes. Excellent. Absolutely excellent. I love this. I love the mean streak in the Profits as well. So it's two different brands, supposedly. So yes, for those saying, dude, can you do this at the same time that the Profits have a new attitude? Yes, you can. If you do it properly, you can. What they're doing with the Profits on SmackDown, yes, that's properly. What they just did with the New Day last week, carrying the show, last night, carrying the show yet again, 2 weeks in a row, yes, you absolutely can. Salute, Xavier and Kofi. Whoa, what a 2 weeks, man. Gave BC those goosebumps 2 straight weeks in a row. That's storytelling. That's when you're doing good television. Salute. Then we go into, now this, if Hunter was a part of that, right, because that was really good, that's where he started smoking, right? Overheating, must take a break, because this is where somebody let Hunter Hearst Helmsley back into the kitchen, and Hunter tried to cook again, and he should not have even been in the kitchen. Gunther defeats Dominik Mysterio via pinfall off the Gunther bomb. Heel Dominik Mysterio versus heel Gunther. And this match was set up earlier in the night. There was a backstage segment where Gunther, Baszler, and Dominik were all saying words to one another. And it was set up afterwards as well that Baszler and Gunther will be facing each other at Saturday night's main event for the championship, one of your main events. Heel Baszler versus heel Gunther. And you just saw heel Dominik versus heel Gunther last night. So Gunther's big feud for the rest of the month to end the year is going to be with the heel faction known as Judgment Day. That's how you're booking your diabolical top heel, one of your top heels in the business. Even though you tried to sabotage it every which way, that's how you're going to book Gunther for the rest of the year. Really, brah? And you're telling me that this doesn't seem like internal sabotage by Hunter Hearst Helmsley? Because if it's not, you're actually telling me that he's trying to book Gunther this way to get that sentimental value, right? Try to get people all up in their feels, and he'll be a tweener, and more people will start to cheer him like Braun Breaker, and even that's not working. Nobody's cheering Braun Breaker in that way. They bark when he says, "Where's the dogs at?" That's called pandering. But you book Braun Breaker to beat up Jey Uso, then shake his hand the next week, then change his mind and beat him up again, talk trash to the faces, then to the heels, have matches with faces, then heels, and then you wonder why people really don't care about Braun Breaker, your IC title holder. It's because Hunter Hearst Helmsley doesn't know what he is. He's sabotaging the dude. And it's hurting the identity of Braun Breaker. Breaker doesn't know what he is. And he's doing it with Gunther. Gunther speaks for himself. Just let him dominate as a dominant heel. Why is he going around with confidence issues in storylines? Why is he going around shaking all the top faces' hands? Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton after their matches, right? He beats Randy and shakes his hand after calling him a failure and his family. But I'll shake your hand. Cody Rhodes beats him in the middle of the ring. He gets up and he shakes his hand too. And then you just have him facing... No, well, first you have him in a rematch from SummerSlam at Survivor Series. So in 4 months, you just have the dude in the same match. And you think people are going to be excited about a Gunther match with Damian? And then the rest of the year, your big master plan is let's have Gunther take on the heels Judgment Day. All of them. Start with Dominik, go to maybe Carlito next week, and then we'll go to the Baszler. And that's why he got what he got last night. After this matchup, Gunther defeats Mysterio via pinfall off the Gunther bomb. Heel versus heel. Crowd completely didn't know what to do, so they sat down on their thumbs. Post-match, Finn Balor, heel, attacks Gunther, still a heel, and he delivers 3 coup de grace. 3. So again, the match here is Balor versus Gunther for Saturday night's main event. So H is just like he's doing with Breaker. He wants us to look at Gunther like a tweener. Like, he's not that mean of a heel, so don't be afraid to cheer him. Look, he's taking out heels. So Balor's going to be the bad guy here, right? He's even the bad guy within his own group, right? He's causing a lot of tension. His ego is getting the best out of him. So you really want to boo Balor. So go out there and deliver 3 coup de grace to Gunther. Because you already hate Dominik, right? He already gets booed out of the building. So if we take Gunther and beat him, that'll get some fan reaction. Some good adulation to Gunther. And then when Balor delivers 3 coup de grace, you're really going to want to cheer Gunther. You're really going to want to boo Balor, right? Guys, you're not going to believe what happened. After the third, well, you should. Because BC has been telling you this is what's going to happen if you continue to book stupidly. You're not, but a lot of you might not believe, or at least it's sad what happened after the 3 coup de grace. After the third coup de grace, the entire arena starts chanting, "One more time, one more time, one more time." Yeah, everything I just told you, think about that. Gunther is supposed to be the sentimental favorite. You're supposed to be in your feels. You're supposed to start lowering your guard just a little bit and going, Gunther's not that bad, though. He shook Randy's hand, Cody's. He just wants to have good wrestling matches, and he wants to do it fair. He's pissed at Baszler because Baszler was the reason he won. H is trying to make Gunther a fan favorite. Is that what he's trying to do? Because that's called an epic fail. A booking botch backfire. The entire crowd wanting to see Gunther take another coup de grace from a dude they're supposed to be booing out of the building like Dominik, Finn Balor. They don't care. There's not a face connection to Gunther. There's nothing special about Gunther as a face. If you want to do that in the future, do it correctly. But right now, he's barely to the main audience. If you didn't follow NXT, if you didn't love Walter, if you're not a smart fan like a lot of us, and you're really backing Gunther because you see all the attributes, he checks off so many boxes. But to the casual fan, to the lapse fan, to a lot of fans that are on and off, Gunther doesn't do too much. He's a pretty average dude to them, right? Big dude, trunks, nothing special. That's true. That's how a lot of people view Gunther. So you just continue to make him a dominant heel. At least make the majority of the crowd boo the shit out of him. He's great at talking trash. He's great at being that smug, egotistical, I'm better than you type heel. Why would you screw with that unless you're purposely sabotaging the dude? It would take something monumental to get Finn Balor cheered last night. He was cheered after delivering 3 coup de grace to Gunther and told from the entire arena one more time. It was so bad that if you caught afterwards, Gunther was laughing with the referee. After he's beaten down by Balor, he's laughing because he knows, oops, that didn't go off as planned. We're supposed to be booing Balor and starting to come around with Gunther, right? He's going to be our savior to take out the Judgment Day. We can look at him as a good guy now. And he was laughing with the ref because he was like, that sucked. That was not good. Hunter Hearst Helmsley is probably in Gorilla going, damn, we already made the Balor-Gunther match at Saturday night's main event. He's already going to run through Carlito in the future and JD McDonald's. This BC tried. I tried to just raise the red flag. I tried to warn everybody. This is not the way you book somebody like Gunther or Braun Breaker. Gunther, Braun Breaker, guys like that, let them get their footing down. Let them find themselves, their own identity, and let them rock it. But from the jump, don't just start tweaking with them just to tweak with them. Faces one week, then heels. Talking trash to the faces, then heels. Shaking hands with your faces, then fighting them. What are you doing? Your crowd doesn't have a chance to digest any of this. You're just confusing them. And when you confuse them, you lose them. That's the old adage in pro wrestling. Hunter Hearst Helmsley finally was smacked upside the dome piece, chant-wise, last night. The entire arena told him, dude, whatever you were trying to cook, just get out of the kitchen. That was so bad. I felt so bad for Gunther, but on the same side of that token, I absolutely was it was vindicating, right? It was one of those freeing moments where hopefully this will create the right type of change. Hopefully Hunter will stop booking so foolishly. It was one of those moments where, yes, it's sad and it's bad and you feel bad for Gunther in the process and even Hunter a little bit. But it's one of those moments where hopefully really good will come from it. And for Helmsley, the advice would simply be, just stop, dude. This type of booking, it's not unpredictable. Faces and heels, and there is no line, right? We're gonna have them. They're gonna take on heels and faces. It doesn't even matter what they are anymore. We're just gonna have matches for the sake of matches and feuds for the sake of feuds, and the audience could just choose who they want to go for, if anybody. Stop, dude. It's not unpredictable. It's just stupid. You're splitting your audience. You're making your audience not even care. You're making them just try to have their own good time because the good time is not what they're seeing in the ring. I'm surprised you're not seeing beach balls yet during weird matches like this. You would think Hunter would have learned his lesson with Bronson Reed versus Gunther many months ago. You guys remember that? I bring it up all the time because it's a really good, it's like class, right? It's like teaching students, right? You always want to go back because history will repeat itself if you don't teach it. So you like to go back to these moments and make sure that you don't recreate them. Bronson took on Gunther, heel versus heel. What Hunter was, I believe, going for was Gunther beats Bronson. He walks away and Bronson stays in the ring and the camera stays on him for a while, to the point where the crowd is actually like, dude, you gave it your all, man. Let's give him a golf clap. And you start to see the fans kind of gravitate toward Bronson. Instead, you heard crickets. You could have heard a pin drop in that arena. Nobody cared. Thankfully, Hunter aborted that type of booking immediately. And the next week, you didn't get that type of Bronson Reed trying to look for your sympathy. But for some reason, here we are months later, and Hunter forgot that lesson. He's doing the same thing with Gunther. And if you thought it got any better, you're not going to believe what happened backstage with Braun Breaker. So backstage, there's a backstage segment setting up Braun Breaker, a heel, versus Ludwig Kaiser, a heel. So they're face-to-face backstage. Kaiser wants an IC title match. So Breaker is like, I already talked to Pierce, and I'll see what I can do. But I'd like nothing better than have an IC title match with you. I mean, Braun Breaker looks so mid-AF in this promo. There was no badassery. Ludwig looked like a better heel, actually. But if you're like, well, again, BC, Hunter's trying to make Breaker a little bit of more of a tweener, you know, kind of like a face just as much as a heel. That's the problem. And if you need any proof, that was shown on the Tron in the arena, this backstage segment with Ludwig and Braun. The entire crowd, crickets. You could have heard a pin drop in that arena. Nobody cared about Ludwig and Braun's promo. Nobody cared about it. Why? It's two heels. Makes no sense. It's not fun. Hunter needs to stop trying to reinvent the wheel. Stick with what works. The fundamentals of pro wrestling. Everything we fell in love with. You just don't need to have wrestlers versus wrestlers and hope they have good wrestling matches, right? With subpar storytelling. What you need to do is just deliver what we fell in love with pro wrestling in the first place. Just deliver that. Good guys and bad guys with ultimate storytelling. That's all we need, bro. It's entertainment. It's why you'd watch a television show or a good movie. You just want the story to be there. You want to know who's who. We'll tell you if somebody isn't working as a face or a heel, and then you can turn them. But all these tweeners with your top heel talent, it's not working, man. It's not working. Didn't work for Bronson. Thankfully, you learned your lesson fast. Braun Breaker, it's destroying the dude's IC title reign and his character and his own mentality, how he's going into his presentation. You can tell it's affecting Braun Breaker, and it sure as hell was detrimental to Gunther last night. That guy had to laugh after he got beaten down because the entire crowd was chanting to whoop his ass some more when you were supposed to be feeling sympathy for Gunther. Braun Breaker backstage. Nobody cared about that segment with Ludwig, but you're going to get an IC title match, guys, maybe for Saturday night's main event. Heel versus heel. Ludwig versus Braun Breaker. And you're also going to get Baszler heel versus Gunther heel. Heel versus heel versus heel versus heel. You're going to get a bunch of just weird heel matchups. Because Hunter's just throwing baloney at the wall, and if it sticks on a name, that's the matches he's going to make. Again, if this was just like an opinion, right? BC, you just don't like it. I understand, man, but, I don't mind it. That's fine. This is no longer opinion, though. I'm telling you the reactions they're getting. I'm telling you how the crowd is literally disinterested. They don't care. And it's affecting. This was a hot crowd for the most part last night, and they had to put up with some pretty weird segments last night like these. So when they went silent, that's a problem. That's what I mean. I'm not giving you opinion. I'm telling you factually, this type of booking is detrimental to the characters, the shows, and the company at large. Hunter, wake up. Pull your head out of your own ass. It's not unpredictable booking. It's just bad. It's not unpredictable. It's just stupid. Braun Breaker and Ludwig for the IC title. Yay, cannot wait. And your main event was face versus face, by the way. So it's not just, right? Hunter, Seth he throws another piece of baloney. Sami. Boss, it's face from face. Yeah, I don't care. I just have wrestlers face each other. Who needs, just have them go out there. The crowd will start to pick one over the other. But sir, isn't that just like, that's splitting the audience, and that's not going to be good for the other face, no? If he's just being out-faced? Just like a heel will out-heel another heel? Stop making sense. Doofus son-in-law has spoken. Before we get to that, actually, Seth versus Sami, there was a match before. Oh, wait till you hear this. R-Truth and Pete Dunne. Petey Dunne and R-Truth. 2 months of storytelling. Hunter was cooking with Petey Dunne and R-Truth. You're not going to believe how this culminated last night. So all of what we've been seeing, right? Backstage every single week, Petey Dunne's pissed off because R-Truth is calling him Butch. Guys, this was a 3-minute match ending with R-Truth fruit roll-upping Petey Dunne. The awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating fruit roll-up. 3 minutes. Petey Dunne is rolled up. Now, if this was Vincent Kennedy McMahon's booking, you would rip it apart, right? But because it's Hunter, you're probably not going to hear a peep about it. Or people are going to skim right over this, right? Oh, no harm, no foul. They'll have another match. They'll have a couple more. It's all fine. This is for the bigger story, BC. If this was VKM, you'd rip it apart. But because it's Hunter, it'll probably be swept underneath the rug, not on this channel. This is booking that helps nobody. Doesn't help each individual. It doesn't help the show or the audience having to view this trash. A fruit roll-up on Petey Dunne in 3 minutes is the best you got? Oh, and here's the best part, guys. Petey Dunne got rolled up because he was distracted because the crowd was chanting Butch. Even the commentary table mentioned Butch, so he was pissed off. And when he turned around, it was right into a roll-up. And you want to hear something even more wild, guys? The main event, which was immediately next, it ended the same way. Sami, distracted, throws down a chair, turns around into a roll-up, a cradle. Back-to-back same finishes. Is anybody running this show? Like, is Hunter really thinking about what he's approving? He didn't think it's the same back-to-back finish? Let's go over that. Seth Rollins face versus Sami Zayn face. Seth Rollins defeats Sami Zayn via the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating Faroot roll-up. The cradle roll-up. Still, it's a roll-up. You got your opponent kind of, it's not a finisher. They're not knocked out. You didn't send them for a loop. You're just kind of either holding them down or you just wrapped them up and they just can't kick out of it. These pro wrestlers with big muscles and, right, they're strong, they're wrestlers, but they can't get out of a roll-up. So Sami Zayn, earlier in the night, there was like a whodunit. Somebody attacked Jey Uso. So Sami thought it was Seth. So at the end of this match, he had a steel chair. He didn't care about the match anymore. He just wanted Seth to pay for his friend Jey Uso getting attacked backstage. Seth is like, dude, it wasn't me. Use your head, dude. Why would I do that? I didn't attack Jey Uso. So Sami thinks better of it. He throws the chair away. And when he turns around, he gets right into a roll-up cradle. And Seth wins. And then Seth is like lecturing him like a toddler afterwards. Like, I beat you, but I didn't want to do it this way, all right? You need to start thinking, young man. Pats him on the head and Seth takes off. After the match, Drew McIntyre returns. A Claymore is delivered to Sami. Before the hoodie even comes off, Joe Tessitore is already like, that's Drew McIntyre. I'm like, Joe, you're doing good. Relax. Let the dude take the hoodie off. I mean, we already know it's a Claymore. But, I mean, at least let him take the hoodie off first. So Joe's yelling, it's Drew. He finally takes the hoodie off, and sure enough, it is McIntyre with that Claymore. So, and that's how the show ends, by the way. Drew McIntyre's return. It leads a lot of questions. Like, if you had Seth and CM Punk on your radar, and you're going to try to kickstart that again, which they did last night. If you had Drew McIntyre ready to return, where were these elements for War Games Survivor Series? You could have implemented them. It would have made the event the night more special, and WWE wouldn't be surprised that fans, a lot of fans, just did not care for that event. And you had them ready. So here's Drew, and a lot of fans, and BC can totally understand this reasoning. They're thinking, oh no, Drew is just going to be like cemented in the mid-card, right? He's going to have this long story with Sami Zayn. Maybe revisit a Seth Rollins feud for the 95th time. I totally see that, right? This wasn't the biggest of returns, right? I mean, after all this time off, you're coming back for Sami Zayn. It's a little mid. However, I will say this, guys. I will absolutely say this in terms of making sense. It does. It does. He's taking out Team Roman, right? Jey Uso in the back. Sami Zayn. It's like he has this real issue with Roman Reigns and those that were the teammates at War Games. So, I mean, there is no real brand split anymore. Does he take out Jimmy Uso on Friday night, maybe, you know? And you say, well, BC, what does that lead to? A Roman Drew McIntyre? Not sure. I'm willing to go for that ride, though. I'm willing for Hunter Helmsley to see where this actually goes, only because it is making sense from the jump. Jey Uso, Sami, you kind of see like a little theme here, right there. That's Team Roman. And we know there's issues with Roman Reigns, who did everybody dirty in that locker room, and CM Punk, who a lot of people in that locker room just don't like. So you see people like Rollins, they won't work with Roman or CM Punk. Drew McIntyre doesn't want to work with Roman or CM Punk. So it's almost like in that aspect, like Rollins and Drew, they kind of they share that one thing in common. That would be a faction, huh? Like a Seth and a Drew and maybe another individual or something. Not saying that needs to happen, but that would be interesting. That would be a pretty badass faction. The anti-group to the Romans' bloodline. And then what happens to Solo's bloodline at that point? That was already absolutely stomped on at War Games. They just lost, and that was it. The baby faces celebrated to the hard cam and then to cam B, C, and D. And while they celebrated, the heels were licking their wounds, and we went off the air. The Rock should have came back, probably booted Solo right there, and this new bloodline gets behind The Rock. You just elevated their stock even after a loss. That would have been a way to go about business. But I don't know how the bootleg bloodline comes back from this. We were already calling them the bootleg bloodline. I don't know how they come back from this. So now you just totally switch Seth Rollins to a heel because that's where it's going anyway. You take away the damn Disney sing-along, and Seth Rollins should just be a heel. Especially if he's going into a feud with Punk. You heard it last night. The chants were for CM Punk, not for Rollins. Turn him heel. They're already loving to boo Drew. So there's your two top heels then. Gunther should be. That's up to Hunter. I don't know what Hunter's doing with Gunther. But with all these top baby faces like Roman and Punk, it's pretty clear that Rollins and Drew can make a real impact going forward. How they're booked remains to be seen. Unfortunately, we don't have the magic creative pen. Unfortunately, that's in the hands of Hunter Helmsley. Oh boy. So we'll see how it all turns out. That was Monday Night Raw for 12/2/24. The biggest standouts, the New Day celebration. What a job by Xavier, Kofi, and Big E. Salute to all three of those dudes. They rocked that segment hardcore. It was cool to see Drew McIntyre back. What else was there anything really good? I don't know if there was good. Big moment for Dakota Kai. Don't know what they're doing with Shayna. Good for Liv and Raquel to get that W back from Saturday's loss inside of War Games, but I don't know what this says for Io and Kairi. I feel bad for them. PD Dunne and R-Truth culminated in the stupidest of matches and finishes last night. So this was another Raw that was kind of all over the place and unfortunately had more questionable, ridiculous booking than not. And thankfully, the one saving grace is that the crowd was lit, right? The crowd, even when it was really bad and questionable and ridiculous and embarrassing, the crowd still tried to make something out of it. So salute to that crowd for sure. Guys, that's what I got for you. Until next time, and there will be that next time, the Amped Up Show with BC, and we are out. Check you. Salute.